Hey y'all. So I said I had to get more random videos on my Ben's Rants channel. I got to come up with a better name, I think, for it.
I agree.
Because it's going to be like my life. It's going to be rants. It's going to be this weird guy sitting next to me every once in a while.
Handyman vlogs?
Yeah, it's going to, well, maybe. But I don't.
Technically, is what it is a vlog.
Yeah, it'll be yeah, I guess so. Anyway, if you guys can
Also
come up with
my
ideas
channel is.
too, maybe, and maybe I'll call it Ben's Vlogs, but see, stuff like that, Ben is used a lot,
Papa Ben's vlogs?
and so
Since your nickname on Hitchcock Handyman has become Papa Ben.
okay, yeah, maybe something like that might work. But anyway,
Good ideas.
today, and go ahead and comment down below if you think so.
Agree with me, disagree with me. Come up with a better name.
Anyway,
I ain't
the
angry.
rant for today
I got mutton stash back.
is a weird, fun,
Shaving it.
circular logic hypocrisy that I'm having to deal with, and I'm not going to use company names or anything like that in this because there's no need really for it.
Well, especially since it's not really the company's fault.
So I work for a company that their policy has become, if you have a fever, if you have a cough, if you have a stuffy nose, a runny nose, nausea,
If you have multiple
diarrhea,
symptoms of my Chironovirus.
exactly. Basically, if you have anything on this list, you have to let us know. Or if we find out you didn't let us know about it, you're fired. So I don't want to be fired. I do like working for this company. So my wife decided.
Right now they'd be held liable, so I understand why they would do it.
Right. My wife decided, and she's very, very fair-skinned. She's a redhead. But she decided that she wanted to wear a swimsuit on our 8-hour motorcycle ride. And she forgot to put on her suntan lotion / sunscreen.
It's a very high SPF
And so I was like,
because she's pale.
I had told her about it, and she said she did, whatever, she forgot it. So she ended up with blisters from about her chest up on both sides, her back and her front, and some on her arms. So she had heat exhaustion on top of a really bad sunburn. So when you have heat exhaustion, you have a high temperature, you have a dry cotton mouth, sometimes dehydrated because of it. So when you start coming back, you can cough a little, you can whatever. Anyway, we went ahead and we let the company know, hey, Monica had heat exhaustion, so she had a fever of just under 100 degrees for just over 24 hours. I hope the bumping isn't going to be too loud for you guys. But anyway, so she had a fever for just over 24 hours because of her heat exhaustion. When we finally got enough liquids in her, her fever broke. So we let work know, and they basically said, well, you have to go get tested for COVID-19 before you can come back to work. And we're like, wait, but she had heat exhaustion. So we now got to get tested for COVID-19 and it come back negative before we can come back to work? Which, that's ridiculous. So we called up the doctor and we're like, hey, this is what happened. We need to be tested for COVID-19. And they went, you don't have any of the symptoms to warrant us testing you for COVID. And we're like, yeah, we know, but our work won't let us. And they went, oh, well, maybe you can talk a testing center then into testing you. So the doctor wouldn't test us. The doctor wouldn't talk to us about it. So then we started driving around Idaho Falls because everyone's like, yeah, sure, come on in. We get there and they go, let me see your doctor's note saying that you were supposed to be tested. And we're like, we don't have it because we don't have any symptoms of COVID-19, so the doctor won't sign off on us testing. But we can't go to work without it. This sounds like a bad joke, doesn't it?
It does. It sounds like a really bad joke.
One of those that go on and on and on and on and on for the pun to be nothing.
Wasn't me.
But, so we're like, so the doctor won't test us. The doctor won't write a note for us to be tested because we don't show any of the symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
We being my wife or I. So she doesn't need to be tested and I don't need to be tested. But our work won't let us back. So we went through 6 different places. And then we finally found one out of state. So we would have to drive over 2 hours to find a place that could test us for COVID-19. And we would get the result back in 5 to 10 days. And it was going to be an arm and a leg. It was going to be very expensive.
Like 400 or so.
Yeah, 400 per person plus then the tests, which were like 200 to 300 a piece. But anyway, so we're like, crap. So we again went to work and we're like, dude, it's going to cost us an arm and a leg and we have to leave the state to go get tested. Which you're already saying if we leave the state and go to a place where there's more, we got to come back and self-quarantine. So I'm like, you're creating this circle that we're just running around like a stupid rat. And we're not, or I guess they're using the term sheeple, trying to get this done. So we finally, we're hoping, in the next hour and a half, we found a doctor, knock on wood, that says he'll see us and we'll tell him Monica's symptoms and he will look into writing us a note that it was heat exhaustion that she had. And we're hoping that's going to work for work. Now, because she had a temperature from heat exhaustion, even with the note, we can't go back to work for at least 72 hours after her fever is broken. Now, how does that make sense? We know, I mean, I can't think of anything that makes sense on that, except for if she actually had the symptoms of COVID-19, which I get. She works in a high-risk area because she's a housekeeper where people come in and stay from all over the world.
Basically a hotel.
So, to me, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, it doesn't.
That's why I think people have hyped up the fear-mongering of this, and it's driven everyone to the walls.
The fear-mongering is doing more to kill anything than the dang disease did, or is. It's now, like, supposedly we're in the second wave, which I think we're just in the end of the first wave, but I'm not a doctor, where its death ratio has now become 0.01%. So 0.01% 1% of everyone who gets it has a chance of dying. It's very low. That is now below influenza levels.
But I mean, well, even with it saying that it's 3% or saying that it's
That's
higher,
still tiny.
and it is very sad, and it can be a deadly sickness.
Death is never nice. But the way we were handling it was making it worse, not better. That's a lot of people are thinking, like, especially where they were shoving sick people into retirement homes.
Well, it's the first time in history that we have quarantined the healthy people to save the sick people.
Which also caused a massive upshoot in suicide, to the point that suicide actually overtook people dying from COVID.
Yeah,
there were more people committing suicide from lack of work, lack of options, than there were people dying from COVID. That's not a good strategy. That's disgusting in my book.
Yeah, I love Sweden's approach to it.
And I actually have a friend who lives in Sweden who didn't mind Sweden's approach to it, and he's technically high risk.
Sweden's approach to it was, those who have the virus, we will help and we will assist in any way possible. But if you don't have the virus, go to work, go still do the things that you want to do. We're not going to shut down school. We're not going to shut down anything. But those that have been affected by it, we will help. Which their economy didn't have much of a dip, and in fact is pulling back through. And they had a huge spike at the beginning, and
everyone forgets that the flatten the curve thing. See, when you flatten the curve, they're not talking about removing deaths. They're talking about elongating deaths over time.
Well, they aren't even talking about limiting or lessening the amount of people.
No. It's just flattening out over time to lower the amount of weight on the hospital. So instead of it becoming a massive weight at once, it is a lesser weight over a longer period of time. That's what the flattening the curve was. That's what flattening the curve means. It doesn't mean that magically less people are going to die. It doesn't mean that magically less people are going to get it. Because the only thing that helps against coronaviruses is herd immunity. That's the only thing that helps against corona-type viruses.
Well, any virus.
Yeah. But I know for sure with coronas. That's why I was using the corona.
But it's basically...
Which is influenza, pneumonia, the common cold, a few others. And a lot of the reason why that is the only thing that really works with at least the corona types, is because coronas mutate so very quickly and so very fast that as soon as you make a vaccine for it, that type's already died out and new ones formed. And it's already died out and been killed by the new form of the common cold. It's already been killed by the new form of influenza. It's already been killed and replaced by the new form.
Not killed, because it's still out there.
To a point, sometimes they actually kill the old one and replace it entirely. But it just, there's already, I think 4 to 5 different forms now of 19 of the Kung Flu, of the commie cough. There's already 4 to 5 different forms of it.
That one I haven't heard.
I know there's been different strains that have appeared of it. I don't remember the number that it is, but they've already found different strains of 19.
Yeah, I haven't heard that one. That one would be interesting to find out.
Okay, try to remember who said that.
Because I know COVID-19 is the SARS coronavirus number 2. Is COVID-19.
Yep, it's a mix of those two.
Well, that's the full name.
Yeah.
Well, SARS, I guess, is an abbreviation. Sorry.
Yeah, so it's like the,
But and COVID is but
SARS is basically a list of the symptoms. That's also the. I don't remember what SARS stands for.
But what gets me is the fear mongering that is out there for it.
Yes.
And what gets me is we're going to say one thing, and then we're going to change what we said, and then tell you, but we've always said this new thing.
Yes, that also is very annoying. Or like, and it is very much fear mongering, because anytime that like there's a lick of hope, like they talk about a vaccine that's coming out, or they talk about certain ways that you can help keep away from it, or certain ways that, you know, they have to come out and they have to quash that hope. You're not allowed to hope.
Well, it's kind of like, I'll have to link his video down below if I remember it, but it's kind of like a video that I just listened to that points out that a few places, for instance, like New York, is starting to actually get close to herd immunity because there's been enough people that have had it that's why you're seeing the infection rate go down, is because over half of the population has at one point or another
Had it.
come in contact and or had the virus. So now, because they're reaching herd immunity, you're seeing the numbers of people infected drop quickly off. So basically, because this is starting to happen, what they're doing is they're pushing the fear-mongering and the face masks and the social distancing and all this stuff so much more. That way, when herd immunity is actually hit, they'll be able to say, see, look what we did. We were able to protect you guys and save you guys from that deadly virus.
Especially since the mask is proven over and over again to do nothing. It will not stop you from, it slows the spread of, if you have it, giving it to someone else.
I love the guy
And
that I just
slow.
went and talked to today. I met with him.
Mm-hmm.
I love what his mask says, because some places are mandated you have to wear it. On his mask, it says, "This mask is about as effective as your politician."
Pretty true. He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
Anyway, if you guys have comments or if you guys have other information on that, go ahead and leave them down below. And you guys have a well-informed or a good day, and
Blessed.
we will
We'll make
see
it
you
blessed.
guys later.